Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy, your guess is as good as mine. Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I wish I were kidding, but I have no idea what day it is. All right. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad you're sharing your time with us. We have been super excited to see some of your comments. So please do talk to us during this thing. We've got a couple of our friends watching who can share your comments right as you make them today. So what I thought we would talk about today is practicing what we preach. So many of you may wonder what it's like to be a part of the PAC team. And I thought I would kind of start by asking the team to share out a little bit of what's it like when Teepa or anybody on the team goes to present something. For example, today we had a meeting about shifting gears to a virtual company. What is that like on PAC? Is it just one of those, she tells you what to do and we all do it, or something else?
So it's definitely not the quote unquote normal meeting when we have a meeting, whether it's led by Teepa or pretty much anyone else on our team. Even the idea of using Zoom, like we're active on Zoom. It's not I turn my camera off and I'm washing dishes and I'm doing other things in the background, because it's a lot of conversational kinds of what do you think and try this out kind of pieces.
Yeah, so as a company, we utilize the methods that we talk about. Anybody else want to share some thoughts on Zoom, what it's like to be part of the PAC team?
Well, it's all about relationships. It sincerely, truly is. We all have different relationships with each other, with parts of our team or branches in our team, and yet we still maintain those relationships so that we can work together to figure things out. There's no one right answer.
Yeah.
But relationship first.
Yeah, so relationships really do come first, and it's all a conversation. Nothing's top down, and it is really the way that Teepa's brain works is she builds this really great content that seems so common sense, and yet it sticks for all of us. And every time I watch it, it's something new that sticks. Why is that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. What makes Teepa's talk so different and engaging? And how do we practice what we preach within this way of teaching? There we go. Oops, move you guys over a little bit now. All right, so how do people normally teach? So think back to your school years, and how did you learn? What was the teaching like? Shelley, what did you think?
The teacher said stuff and you wrote it down.
The teacher said stuff and you wrote it down.
Right.
Yep.
I took tests based on what she said or he said.
And you took tests, and who has all the answers or the information?
The teacher.
The teacher does, absolutely. And we didn't really think much of that because, well, that's what teachers do, right? There's like a little book that they have that's like all the answers to the world. And they just read from that, and then that's what we have to learn and remember, right? That's how things happen. What was the work that we had to do? Because they were busy reading their book of the world and telling us all of the facts. And what was our job? What work did learners have to do?
Shut up, sit still, write your notes.
Memorize.
Memorize.
Regurgitate.
Regurgitate. You must be able to regurgitate it accurately the way that you heard it, right? Because it had to be exactly the same as what was in his or her book of the world. Yes. Okay. Anything else that learners had
tested? You had to get tested every now and then to make sure you'd learned it the right way.
That's right. So we had
got your papers graded.
You had your grading system to see, because we want to make sure we rank you as far as how good of a learner you were, based on whether or not you could tell it back the way that you heard it, exactly in the words that you got. Okay, so far we're building a really nice system for all people, right? What kinds of learners were most successful in this system? Raise your hand if you like quizzes.
Well, kind of did.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not all that bad.
Logical?
Some of us did.
Logical, mathematical, problem solvers, really good in this system. Who else is really good?
I think verbal linguistic folks would be really have an easier time, I would say.
Verbal linguistic folks, people who like language, they like to, unless what? What if the language didn't quite match? What if you like to hear but not read? What if there was something that, you know, you didn't get to see the words, your teacher just said them out loud and you don't like it when you hear them, you like to see them written down. That's the words I like. Or I have to take notes, but I'm not actually ever going to look at them again, but I need to actually do something, otherwise I can't pay attention.
Right.
So what happens to the bulk of learners as you think back to your school years? How many learners successfully made it in every single class?
I'd say somewhere around 10% really made it in all classes. Maybe.
Yeah, when you think about the bell curve, right? What's the average? You want to see as being like the best you're ever going to do? Well, that doesn't seem fair. So what PAC does is we do something a little bit differently. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different things. First, here's what's the biggest difference in what PAC does. What do you notice already that's a little bit different?
Oh, it's a process.
Oh, it's a process. There's some arrows and it looks like you're supposed to go through different steps.
Oh, crap, there's no ending.
Oh, shoot. This is a circle. So take your finger and spiral it around. So now, the thing that's interesting about learning is that we don't stay stagnant in our spiral. Once you've learned something, you can't ever learn it the same way again. Because what's at the top of this cycle?
Experience.
An experience. How many of you, as soon as you've smelled spoiled milk, you learned something and you did something different the next time you went to pour it into your cereal without smelling it first?
Oh, yeah.
How many of you just glug out of the carton without taking a whiff? Literally no one after you do it. How many times?
One trial learning.
One trial learning. That is what experiences do, because once you have an experience, you can't have that same experience the same way ever again. Now take your finger that was circling around and it either spirals in a positive direction, so spiral it up, or it spirals in a negative direction. You're learning something every time. You do something every time. It may or may not work, and if you learn it a way that doesn't work and you start to find that negative spiral, what starts to happen? You'll change something and it might not be the thing, because if it wasn't working, you're going to do something different. What about if it is working though? What if you start to spiral up and you find that positive changes are happening? What happens even more?
It's more fun.
It's more fun, and now I want to do it more, and I want to. So what PAC does is it forces, and I use the word forces thoughtfully, it forces you to try something.
What channels you to try something?
Sure, it channels you to try something. However, when Teepa starts walking towards someone in a training and she goes to take their pants off, how many of you have had that?
Forceful channel, I'll give you that.
It's a pretty strong channel, yeah. So here's a content area that we have talked about before.
Just for wait a minute, for everybody on this this Facebook feed, I have yet to have removed someone's pants in a training. As a matter of fact, usually the closest I ever get is touching their waistband, and they are totally freaked out. Alejandro, you were special.
I had my belt ripped off, and I can remember exactly where we were, Teepa. It was really close.
It was really close. So the belt came off, and that was the end of that journey. Yeah, there you go. I'm just saying, most of the time.
That sounds like a different kind of experience than most people have. You're absolutely right, Teepa. You don't normally take their pants off. But there are two ways that I could teach about vision changes. So if this is what I'm trying to explain, that in dementia, there are vision changes. I could simply teach this content. I can go through this content really well by telling you about it. I can tell you sapphires, people in dementia, people without dementia, as we age, we lose some of our peripheral vision. And once you shift into having dementia, or if you're very stressed, you actually shift to tunnel vision and then binocular vision. And that's why, because binocular vision, that space is where people start to startle because they don't see you coming and they can't see your touch. And then you've got ambers who have object confusion and ruby with monocular vision. And that's where people start to have more falls because they've lost depth perception. And then pearl, loss of visual regard. So how many of you are feeling like you took in a ton of data just there?
Mhm.
Yeah, what if I were to quiz you on it now? You could probably regurgitate some of it, especially if I left this slide up.
Mhm.
I stopped listening.
But it's all accurate information and I want you to know it. And so here's what happens in PAC. Instead of me going through all of that data verbally, everybody go ahead. I'm going to stop share. Everybody put on your binoculars. So just holding them up to your eyes right now, notice what you can see. Because this is where our visual field is when many people get a diagnosis or people start to notice things are really changing. Before this visual change, nobody's noticed anything because I've been flying under the radar. So now, go ahead and take a look down because I'm telling you that keep your binoculars on and check out that you've spilled something from your breakfast on your chest. Shoot, what happens?
My chest disappeared.
Oh, your chest just disappeared.
No, I haven't.
You can't see it, so put your binoculars back on. And now imagine that I reach out and just wipe it off for you. Woo! So what happened?
Missing a lot of stuff.
Missing a lot of data. And what happened when I touched you?
You startled me.
Startling.
Ooh,
You're going to be in trouble, and I have a few choice words for you as well, madam.
choice words. Or more, apparently. I'm now getting threatened for trying to help you out. You had some oatmeal in your shirt or you had some breakfast. I was just brushing them off.
Those are my boobs. They're not for touching.
I wasn't touching your boob. Oh, shoot. Why is it so important to recognize that vision changes with dementia?
Because we end up doing things that they didn't expect and scaring people or making them angry and surprising them.
Yeah, so we end up doing things that people don't expect, and then we get a reaction that we weren't expecting. So when you think about your role in partnering with someone for care, or really working with anyone in the world when you're not sure, because what did I say about this visual field? Where is this in dementia?
Early.
Still fairly early. So what do we want to think about changing when we approach someone, whether there's dementia or no diagnosis yet? when anybody in the world is being approached, what might be something you would change?
I got to make sure they see me first.
Yeah, and where do they need to see you? Put back on your binoculars and check that out. If it's not within that space, that hand coming in sure comes out of nowhere. All right, so that's PAC learning cycle, as opposed to my regurgitation of information from my book of answers. So today we talked a little bit about PAC training and practicing what we preach. As you'll notice, everybody on the team knew what to do because this is just how we roll. So please join us if you have questions, if you want to know more about our trainings or whatever else. All these people on here have experience because everybody on the PAC team believes that this message is worth sharing in a way that's going to stick for everyone, not just for those 5 verbal linguistic learners in your classroom.
Amanda, we did have an interesting question. Somebody asked us, are all PAC members, are PAC team members all employees of nursing homes?
Ooh, great question. Anybody want to answer that one?
Well, I did write back to her. I said, actually, no, most of us come from a variety of backgrounds, but I didn't say what those were.
Oh, cool. Well, anybody want to share out? So do we have people on the team with a history in nursing homes?
Yes.
Yep. There's a few raising their hands. Do we have people on the team with a history in assisted livings?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What about college campuses, college courses, trainings in other ways, elementary school teachers, middle school teachers? What else do we have? Let's see, theater. Hospitals.
Prisons.
OT, PT.
Companion care.
Nothing to do with dementia.
Lived experience.
Lots to do with dementia in my family. So what's cool about our PAC team, it's a great question. We're all in different states. We all live separately and we all do work together, almost all virtually. So what we used to do was get together at our trainings in person, supported by our administrative team, which keeps the home fires burning virtually. And now we're all part of our administrative team, keeping the home fires burning and joining you here live every day. Great question.
And we had another interesting question from Wendy Fuller in Florida, and she was talking about how the residents are kind of scared with all the PPE people are wearing. And I just wanted to make sure, could you mention how she could watch the yesterday at 5, because I thought you did a great thing on that. Could you tell her again how to watch what we did yesterday?
Great question. So if you're looking for any of these live at 5 videos, which the one Christy mentioned is on Facebook, you can go to videos under Teepa Snow and you'll be able to find all of our past videos. The one from yesterday is the one that Christy's talking about, that PAC Daily 10 at 5. Teepa also goes on every morning, rain or shine, at 8 a.m. throughout the whole week, not just the weekdays. So if you're bored Saturday and Sunday morning and up at 8 a.m. Eastern time, you can see those. Carrie also puts all of these videos on YouTube a day or so later. So if you go to Teepa Snow on YouTube, you can find all those videos there too. We're also starting to put them on our homepage regularly. So check back on there to see some updated ones every few days. Great questions. All right, thanks everybody for joining us. It's been a blast to have you here. Thanks Teepa for taking time out of your afternoon to come and tell us how you don't take people's pants off. That is very important for people to know. It's not, we don't, other than Alejandra, he's a special case.
Hey folks, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread Teepa's positive approach message around the world. And don't forget to click the bell to get notified when new videos are posted.